Unfortunately, I woke up to this video, and I say unfortunately because of the response that I see to the video being so positive. Let's take a look at it.
When I walk into Congress every single day, you know why I don't feel away and why you can't make me doubt who I am is because I know that I had to work 10 times as hard as they did just to get into the seat. When you look and you compare me to Marjorie Taylor Greene or me to Lauren Boebert, there is no comparison. And that is the life that we have always lived. So the only people that are crying are the mediocre white boys that have been beaten out by people that historically have had to work so much harder. This is why they don't want us to have education. This is why they are trying to literally say we won't fund the HBCUs, because they know that if they've already gone after affirmative action and they're saying, you know what, don't allow them to come into, say, these PWIs, as we call them, don't allow them to come into these institutions. We know why they created the HBCUs in the first place. It was because they wouldn't allow us into the white institutions. And so now they're not allowing us in. And now they're saying, you know what, we're also going to defund the HBCUs. You know why? Because they don't want any more Kamala Harrises. They don't want any more Jasmine Crockett's. But I got news for them. I don't care what they do. We will fight to the end to make sure that we get our due. Because again, if you want to talk about the people that shouldn't be in this country, you probably need to look in the mirror.
Well, when it comes to her saying funding for the HBCUs, she may have a point on that, because I do know other private schools and public schools also get funding from the federal government. Whether they're HBCUs or not, primary white schools or not, they do get some funding. They do get some special tax breaks. If you want proof on that, Patrick Bet-David of Valuetainment has made several videos on that topic about all of the money that's really in colleges and universities. Now, on the other thing about people not wanting blacks to be educated, I may have felt that way about 30, 40 years ago, but not in 2025. I don't see people really afraid of black folks wanting to be educated or being educated. And this whole thing about if she considers herself to be really educated, I wonder, have white people ever told her to stop talking white? Have white people ever told her to stop acting white, or that she was trying to act white? It's been a while since I've heard those things, but I've heard them. And not from white people, from other black folks. So you tell me, who's really afraid of black people getting educated? Now, let's go into this other little short video. It's from a movie called The Ides of March. And I saw it twice, probably about a decade apart. But the most recent time I saw it was within the last 3 years. And something really hit me at the time that I watched it most recently. And I'll talk about that when we come back. But to set the clip up, it's only about a minute long. It stars George Clooney and Ryan Gosling. Also, Philip Seymour Hoffman is in the movie. But we're only going to see Ryan Gosling and George Clooney in this clip. George Clooney is playing a character, I believe he's a senator, and he's running for president. And Ryan Gosling sits him down to talk about one of his big initiatives that he's pushing for his campaign. And let's take a look at that.
It says we're going to help people get an education. We're going to create national unity. We're going to teach young people a trade. And we're going to get them out of debt for their college loans. Now, where does that fail?
All of that's exactly right, Governor. It's just if you're going to do it, do it. Make it mandatory, not voluntary.
That'll poll well.
Mandatory. Everybody who turns 18 or graduates high school gives 2 years of service to his or her country. And for that, your college education is paid for, period.
Paul likes this.
Mm-hmm. The beauty of it is that everybody who's over the age of 18 or past the age of eligibility will be for it. Why not?
And all of the others
can't vote. Too young.
Students can't vote. They're too young. They also can't give money. But the teachers can. The teachers can vote. Teachers have teachers unions and they can give money. So that's why the issue doesn't really move anywhere. But who can vote and who does have money are the parents. And we saw them stepping up to the plate here recently in the past 4 years or so. You see, for all the crying that Jasmine Crockett does about education and black people, it's people like her who are against school choice. And the argument that they'll give, the public argument, is that they're just trying to preserve and protect public schools. But the truth is, the reason why they can't really be for it is because they're more about money and votes. The ultimate customer in schools is the student. And like pointed out here in this clip, the students are too young. They can't vote and they can't give money. And that's been going on for a long time. That's why they get the short end of the stick until the past 4 or 5 years when parents, because of COVID, started paying attention because their kids were at home dialing into class and they could hear what was happening in the schools, and that really set a fire under their pants, and they started going to city hall meetings and school board meetings and saying, what the H are you guys doing to my children? And they got in the face of these folks, their elected officials, so much so that our National Department of Justice wanted to label these folks domestic terrorists. Again, so you tell me who is against folks getting educated. Is it the adversaries of Jasmine Crockett, or is it really people like herself? No white person's ever told me to stop trying to act white. I think they wouldn't, I think they fear the comeback that I would give them if they did. As if white is a behavior, as if black is a behavior. Anyway, that's a different talk, a different video for a different day. But, you know, the comments on her video, I saw it on LinkedIn this morning. The comments were very positive and you go girl, that kind of stuff. And I'm like, you guys are just totally missing it. She's concerned about education, but she's the type of person that would be against school choice. I think she's just trying to say what sounds good and keep this division going on and separation and us at each other. You know, no one's going to be mad at you getting educated. I just happened to be reading this book called The Life and Times of Frederick Douglass. Frederick Douglass was born a slave, and yet he wrote 3 autobiographies, and this is one of the bigger ones. I've had it for a while. One of the price tags on it says November 7th, 2012. In fact, I'll go get it right now. Well, here it is. I just happen to be reading this book called The Life and Times of Frederick Douglass. The title is kind of obscured because I have this price tag right here from Half Price Books. I don't know if you can see it, but on that price tag it says 11/7/12, meaning they put this price on the book around November 7th, 2012, and I bought it shortly thereafter. It's been on my bookshelf since then. I just haven't gotten to it. As you can see, it's kind of a long book, and I've just been spending my time doing other things. But this man was born during slavery. He was born a slave, and yet I marvel at what I'm reading, because this sounds like a very educated man. You think he cared that people thought he shouldn't learn anything? Yeah, during his time, he admits in his book, The Narrative of the Life of Frederick Douglass, that was a different book, he admits that he could see his freedom in those words that he learned, that his mistress, the spouse of his master, was teaching him. He overheard the 2 of them arguing. The master told his wife, you got to stop teaching that boy how to read because he's going to be harder to control. And even as a young boy, he recognized that his freedom was in the words, was in being educated, and so he pursued that. I've also been through Booker T. Washington's book, Up From Slavery. Those two men are amazing, and it just happens to be Black History Month. I'm not reading the book because of that, but it just happens to be. And it's sad to see after all this time, with the history of Booker T. Washington, the history of Frederick Douglass, that she's acting like people are still trying to hold her back. This whole victim mentality. No, if the folks voted her in, so be it. If she's concerned about education, would she be pro school choice for all these young Black students who are stuck in bad schools and can't get away from them because they're linked, they're chained, if you will, to their zip code, when they want to get unchained, unburdened from their zip code and get to a better school. It's interesting that she would even use Kamala Harris as an example. If we didn't have the HBCUs, we wouldn't have the Kamala Harrises. Probably better not to use her as an example right now. This whole victim mentality, I don't think that goes very far. I don't think anybody's threatened by me having some education. I'm not going to stop reading and trying to get educated to assuage somebody's fear or anger about me. I just don't see it. So I think it's a silly thing. And I guess what really kind of got to me is I knew some of the people in the comment section, and their comments were, some people I know where they go to church, and I'm wondering what's wrong with them. What are they hearing? Whatever. I'll talk to you guys next time. Bye-bye.